welcome to the Fenland Chat Hour. I'm producer Dave, and we're joined by our usual co-host, Amanda Carlin.
Hello, producer Dave.
Hello, Amanda. It's Thursday, the 7th of May, 2020, and this is episode 17. Wow.
Wow.
So, tomorrow's VE Day?
Yes.
It is actually VE Day. I know we're celebrating it tomorrow, but yeah. So, you know, this is us, 8th of May, 1945, end of the war. We have bunting out. We're all celebrating, all sat around the radio listening to Churchill. So, have you got plans for the VE Day?
Yes. We'll have a picnic out the front. We'll have a 2-minute silence, and we will sing the national anthem.
Yay! Because there's quite a list of things that's going on, isn't there? There's a lot of timings are out there for for when to do activities or when things are being played or shown but yeah, they've got into so much hot water, but just sort of people complaining that we shouldn't be doing our street parties and stuff, and you know, we talked about this on the last episode, but we just need to remind everyone that, you know, this is a stay-at-home party, you know, and even the government are turning around saying, you know, this is a chance to have a party, but just make sure you stay home.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. I think we'll go straight into the news, unless there's anything else you want to bring in.
No, I just hope everybody has a lovely time.
Yeah, and hopefully the weather will be good. It's supposed to be really nice weather as well, so if you got a chance, if you do have a garden, make sure you get out there and enjoy it and make the most of it, because it's going to get cold again, so apparently
So.
Right, the news, national news. We have a new phrase, and to add to our list of historical days, you know, so we've got like Black Friday and Tragic Wednesday and all sorts of all sort of historical days in history, but this one is going to be called Magic Monday. So Boris is going to be giving a speech to the nation on Sunday, and they're going to be talking about the government's plans for coming out of lockdown. You know, not saying whether we will or not, but certainly they are going to try and talk through some of the plans. I know that whether they're planning next week or the week after, I think because of the mortality rate has dropped and the number of cases have dropped now, are on the way down. So they'll hopefully explain how we're going to go about doing this. And I say lots of countries are going through this process now, but some countries are actually at the peak, and I think it was Pakistan, I think I heard this morning, that they've actually got the highest number of cases today, and on Saturday they're going to open lockdown, which is just bizarre, you know. So it is interesting that some countries are just going completely against everything else. Like I say, every country is doing it differently, so we'll just see how that goes. So yes, on Sunday we'll have the speech, and then we'll hopefully have all the information to hand on Monday. We can go through it in a bit more detail. Chatteris Town Council have now started doing their council meetings on Zoom, and this follows FDC are having their planning meetings that are on Zoom as well. So they are available. Just go to the relevant pages, and there's usually links and stuff on there if you are interested, and I'm sure that other councils and towns are doing pretty much the same thing as well.
Yes.
What else have we got? Do you want to do your news bits? Because I'll come back to the FDC homeless.
Yes, thank you. Fenland District Council are rehousing rough sleepers, as we're aware, into emergency accommodation to help protect them from COVID-19. but it's difficult to communicate this to everyone. So if listeners know of anyone at risk of homelessness or who are homeless, please do get in touch with FDC as soon as possible via their website. And I think if you go directly to, there's a section that's called homelessness where they can make a report to help people.
Okay.
And
you got some VE Day news?
Yes, as we approach VE Day, can't believe it, really. We're there already, aren't we?
Yeah.
It's suddenly come up on us. Councillor Mac Maguire, the chairman of Cambs County Council and the Armed Forces Covenant Board, has a video telling of his time in the services and his personal experience of VE Day. And the link for this can be found on Cambridgeshire County Council's website and their social media pages too. I think it's very interesting to learn how VE Day was experienced locally.
Mm. Yeah, it will be interesting to hear, because certainly in the research I've done in the past, we although Fenland wasn't directly involved with the results of the war, so like we weren't getting the raids, we weren't like the big cities where we were getting sort of impacted from bombs and stuff. There was a big element of the evacuees. This was one of the areas where a lot of the evacuees were sent out from London. So people were doing their bit towards, the war and the war effort, but it's like a secondary role. So I think the nearest bombs were so, but then there's there's articles about airfields being targeted at Ramsey and stuff. So there are little sort of stories about individual cases around the area where a bomber has dropped bombs. Yeah, and then we've got the Lancaster that crashed, and so there are lots of things, but they're sort of individual stories that all culminated in the area. What I'm thinking about is mainly like the big cities like Birmingham and Coventry, and where they were having sustained attacks on a daily basis, but a lot of them were actually flying over here on the way to the Midlands areas to drop the bombs. So we were right underneath the flight path of all these bombs, and some of them would drop the bombs and disappear because they didn't want to fly over heavily flak-driven areas. They wanted to get rid of the bombs and get back to Germany as quickly as possible. So I'm not saying that we didn't get any involvement or recipient of any of the sort of the activities from Germany during the war, just that on the main, this was a fairly quiet or untouched area.
That's true.
So so that'll be interesting to hear other people's experiences, certainly from this area, and will be excellent for archive for years to come. Excellent. Anything else, or is that all the ones you've got from the news?
I think I've got one more thing for the news, actually. Cambridgeshire Fire and Rescue are asking, if you've got a hearing impairment, would you be able to hear your smoke alarm if there was a problem?
Okay.
Presently, I have a hearing impairment.
Yeah.
So there is a special sensory alarm available, and it vibrates under a pillow or cushion. And that's available from Cambridgeshire Fire and Rescue. If you go to their website or social media pages, you can find out more information.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Yes, I can imagine even if you've got hearing aids, you're going to take them out if you're going to bed.
Oh.
You're not going to wear them at night time, so having something underneath your pillow would be quite useful.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I just wanted to finish off the news with talk about the COVID tracker.
Oh, yes.
the it was supposed to be rolled out in the Isle of Wight on Monday, but I know that they had a few teething problems. And what I found so far is that it's actually being rolled out officially today. So this is so now is the start of the trial. If you go to www.covid19.nhs.uk, that is the website that is currently running it. So that will be where you go once the full trial has been undergone, and if deemed successful, that's where you go to download the app to then use it nationwide. I guess even if you went and downloaded it, it wouldn't work anyway because it's geographically located to just the Isle of Wight, so it wouldn't have any effect. You wouldn't be able to use it now anyway. But the one thing I will say is go there, have a look at the logo, make sure you recognise it, because there are several trackers out there for different countries that you can download, and probably not all are trackers. They're just monitors and news gatherers or data gatherers. What's quite interesting is that I've been using one called Health Linked, and that's linked with a Y, just to keep track of the numbers. It was just for personal interest and nothing else. And what I found last night was either there was an issue or it got hacked. Because when I looked at it last night, the display said that there were 748 billion cases in the world.
Wow.
And I went, I don't think there are that many, unless there's an awful lot of repeat cases. That's a dumb thing. So when I looked at it, it was every single state. The numbers had been artificially increased to tens and hundreds of thousands of cases. And it was just America. None of the other countries were being affected that I can tell. But it was just every single of the 50 states had bogus numbers put into it. So there is a lot of talk about the security and data protection of these trackers and what information can be put on. It was just interesting to see that happen the night before it's supposed to roll, or another one is about to roll out, and it does show that there is potential security issues. But then if it had been done in-house, if it's been done by someone inside who's got a grudge, that's not it's not an external security issue. That's a business security issue. So until they actually know where that's come from, I think that's someone who's got a grievance. But I did know.
It could be.
Sorry.
It could be.
Yeah, because I know obviously there's a lot of backlash against America and how it's been handling it, and just the sheer number of deaths that have been resulted. So there may be other issues, other factors. It's just coincidental. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting, and I messaged the company straight away and said, "Look, I think you need to have a look at this. This is a bit of an issue." They haven't responded, but it has been fixed. So who knows? Who knows if they saw it or not? But it's back to what it was. So yeah. So yeah. Keep a track of the website, and certainly there'll be more news coming. Probably Sunday. Actually, will probably be the announcement for rolling out of the new tracker.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to hear that, and it will be interesting the government's take on whether we come out of lockdown or not. The government have got a responsibility to manage our expectations now.
Yeah.
And how we come out of this in one piece. So the fear factor is there with a lot of people, but we've still got to keep going on. So it'll be interesting to see what they've come up with.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about this before. it was too soon at that time. We talked about 2-3 weeks ago. We shouldn't have been talking about exit strategies then, because we were just coming out the peak, and that wasn't the time to be doing it. I think, yes, it's now is the time, the mood of the country and sort of the way that the figures are going. I do agree now is the time that we need to be looking at phase 3, or whatever we want to call it, where we are looking at how do we start bringing people out of that in a safe and secure way.
Yes. And whatever's suggested, adhere to it, please.
Well, that's it. I mean, it's just so many. It just annoys me. It really does annoy me at the moment. Is that there is the constant blame of the government for the number of deaths. Irrespective of what the government have done and how they've dealt with, that is secondary. You've got to look at yourselves. You've got to look. It's the public that have caused this. The government hasn't been involved. It is a straightforward person-to-person contact. That's how the virus spreads. It doesn't go from one person via the government to another person. The government does not have any involvement in the transference between one person and the next. So when people are going out and meeting neighbours, going out several times a day, going to the shops too many times, having their hair cut, visiting relatives, and just doing everything that they've been told not to do, and then they've got the cheek to turn around and say, "Oh, it's the government's fault that there are these figures." That's just really, really frustrating, because it's not. How they've dealt with it, that's a different issue, and that's something that will actually have to be addressed later on. We're not condoning or supporting the government as to the way that they've dealt with it. There have been mistakes done, and that needs to be looked at as a separate thing. But the actual transmission of virus from person to person is purely you're going out and you're passing it on. You're meeting in groups and people. So, the only people that you can blame is yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's
absolutely. But I will say one thing: when we've had people test positively and they're asked the questions, have you met anybody socially? I've got to say, those people that are being honest in their answers, thank you to them.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
That was very brave.
It is.
Admitting it.
Yeah, it is. It is tough to, because I can imagine there are people that don't want to admit to who they've been in contact with. So yes, I can imagine it's a lot, and it's not just general. It's cultural as well. There are a lot of cultural issues where people aren't allowed to meet other people as well. So yeah, that's a big thing to if they've had to admit who they've been in touch with. So yes, it's a mess, whatever way.
Yeah.
But one last thing. All right, we'll go into rural roundup.
Yes.
And I will start with. There's a story in the Cams Times which was about 6 people that were rescued from the back of a lorry in Littleport, and I believe it was the lorry driver that heard the banging and then phoned the police. But that's something that sort of is a constant thing that seems to be a theme that's resonating through our show and our own personal projects, and that's the migrants and illegal migrants coming into the area. What is surprising is that it's still happening, especially under these conditions where they are looking at other ways of getting into the country. I'm actually reading this morning that detention centres, the number of people being held has reduced dramatically as well, so that's interesting.
It is.
But the police have issued a list of actions to carry out. So I'll just read it from what they've put. So first one is hearing banging from inside of a lorry. Always call 999, especially if the lorry is refrigerated. Now, to notice, if you're not sure, most of refrigerated trucks are white, and there's usually an air conditioning system at the front, and you'll usually hear it whirring away. So if the truck is stationary and not going, but you can hear a whirring or motor sounds, then it's quite possible it's refrigerated. People emerging from a lorry or HGV, especially suddenly or as if in a rush not to be seen. So basically, if they're just trying to hide, or basically just a group of people, and that leads into the next one, a group of people heading towards or going inside of the back of a lorry, or if anything about the vehicle doesn't seem quite right. For example, if produce sorry it's interesting the spelling the same word. If produce is being thrown from it, something is being done to catch the attention of and is being done to catch the attention of the motorists. So if it's, assuming that's if they're driving along and they're doing something to raise awareness. But yeah, if you see any strange activities with vehicles either on the move or parked up in laybys, then contact the police on 999 immediately. Take note of vehicle registration numbers, even if it's foreign plates or any kind of distinguishing marks about the vehicles as well, names, logos, plates, anything like that.
And that's serious, David, because in doing so it could save a life or lives, or it could even save people from a life of modern day slavery.
Yeah, I mean we've still got the memories of the trucks, the Vietnamese 39, I think it was.
Yeah,
the Vietnamese who died when they came in from Ireland. And that's just horrific in itself. So if you see anything suspicious or if you see any strange activities, I mean, you'll see lorries parked up on the side of the road, and what they do now is they open the back of the truck, so you can see straight away that the truck is empty and there's nobody in there. So if you see all the lights off and there's movement around the trucks, then contact the police.
Mm.
Okay, have you got anything for Rural Roundup?
Oh, thank you. Yes, I have. Manea Magic is a musical radio show for Manea's residents. It's organised by Simon Paul, and please log in and support him. More details are available on Manea's social media pages. They've got two main ones that has all the information. And then sticking to Manea again, Manea residents joined a teenage artist, only 19 years old, called Maggie Powell. And Maggie put together a project called the Tile Project to help relieve lockdown boredom. And she's worked with parishioners to put together an artistic display made of tiles. And these tiles are available to view at the Rose and Crown pub in the village. And then we have in Wimblington, the Anchor Inn are doing, they usually do a weekly pub quiz anyway on a Thursday. And now they're doing a remote one. It goes out on Facebook Live. So all the questions are available on Facebook Live from 8:15, and then teams can discuss the answers with each other like you would in a pub surrounding through Zoom or something like that. And then you send the answers in. You've got a certain amount of time to send the answers in through Messenger. So it's all done very well to avoid cheating. Okay. Not that anybody would cheat. Nobody would cheat with that. It's free to join, but you can give a donation if you like. Mm-hmm. I think that is all I have. Yes.
brilliant.
Mm.
Okay. I'm a bit concerned about this radio. I mean, that's competition for us, isn't it? It's us with music. I mean, that's we're not having that. No, seriously. I mean, that's brilliant that someone else is doing a radio show. It's certainly for the area as well, because that's one thing we have lost. We lost the Fenland radio, which was in Wisbech. Someone had tried to resurrect that, and it died about 6-9 months ago. So the fact that there are people who are still out there who want to be involved in radio and is great.
I think so too. I think it's good to keep. This is a good time to start something up like this, because it helps keep communities together, and we are all in this together. So it helps resonate that feeling, doesn't it, of community?
I thought also because it's obviously a Manea resident that's doing it.
Yes.
So it's someone he knows the locals, he knows the people, he knows the problems. You know, getting to and from Manea, the problems that, you know, it's more rurally isolated than some of the other places in the area. So having that kind of knowledge as well will be invaluable when it comes to doing the shows and stuff. So, you know, it's not like someone in London going, "Oh yes, shout out to the Fens, yeah, it's flat." You know, so it does bring a different perspective, and that's sort of, you know, that's what we're kind of hoping that, you know, we do as well. You know.
Oh yes, definitely. Yeah, I think talking about Manea though, it is incredibly. You know, people are really supportive of each other, and if you run a business there, everybody's supportive of the business, and
yeah.
It's an unusual village to be in the Fens, but once you're there, you're glad you're there. It's lovely.
I'm just jealous of Manea because they've got rail network.
It's amazing. You can get out of Manea. Yes,
you can get from Manea and you can go to Birmingham, and it's like, wow, that's amazing. That's brilliant.
Yeah, and they've got a fire station.
Mm.
They've got everything in Manea.
Yeah, they have. But it's good that they are so supportive of their own community, which is such a big thing.
They really are. Yeah.
Right. Okay. That's it for rural roundup. So we'll now go on to interviews. Well, we were going to have a piece of the interview with Tilly Rose. Unfortunately, because of scheduling, I've not been able to finish the podcast because we need to complete the whole thing to then get the excerpt to play in the show, and I've not finished the full interview yet because it's about 50 minutes long, so it's just taken longer to do than expected. So I'll do that with another interview as well over the weekend, and that should be ready Monday. Well, yeah, Tilly's will be on Monday, and then Julia's will be on Thursday, all going well.
And two very interesting interviews as well, aren't they, David?
They are. They're very interesting, which is why I'm so desperate to play them in whole, because there's so much information in there. Tilly Rose is just amazing. She's just so much information. She's done so much. She started off as a teacher and then went into arts and crafts and media, textile, mixed media textiles, and she does a lot of fabric work and stitching and craft work and needlework, and she makes some amazing stuff. I got to see. Well, we got to see some of those things at Stony Camp.
Yeah.
And she's actually had a career in television as well. So she actually has had an art channel on her Chanda and some of the sort of the one of the other TV channels as well. So she's got loads of information, and she's certainly someone we would love to have more of a chat with. 50 minutes doesn't even do it justice. There's so much to talk about. So it'd be good to talk to her again in the future. And Julia, she's a bereavement coach who we talk about a lot of the issues that we've actually raised on the show for the last few weeks, and she's come back and quite supportively, and sort of talking about what we've done and things that we've suggested as well, and sort of taking it a bit further. So it's nice to know that we've kind of been on the right kind of track as well. So that's good news. So so those two interviews that will be on next week. So we'll do the same as we did with the Asa French interview and have those as parts for the show, and then the complete one as a separate. Daily stats. Number of cases in the world is 3,800,000 and rising. In the UK, it's 201,101 cases. That's of yesterday, and the number of deaths is 30,076. And we now have the title of having the highest number of cases in Europe.
Also, that's a high proportion of fatalities to positive testing, isn't it, as well?
It is.
Massive. Whoever... I remember someone stating at one point, only 1% of the population will get it, and it's like the flu, and everybody will get over it anyway, and then you'll be immune. Crazy stuff.
I was a bit disappointed because I was watching the briefing, the daily briefing yesterday, and the ministers were talking about someone from the public had they take questions from the public, and or whoever it was, and they said, why have there been a difference in the handling between the UK and Italy? So why have they been absolutely swamped, but why have we managed to have sort of coordinated the NHS better?
Has he been watching the news?
Well, it kind of is, but what they didn't. The answer back was, they. I can't remember the exact way they referred to it, but what they were basically talking about Italy as a whole. But what they didn't mention, or what they failed to mention, was that most of the cases in Italy were in the north.
Yeah.
Is it Florence, or I can't remember the name of the place.
Florence. Yeah.
And the problem was that everything revolved around one football match, and that just had create a huge spike of deaths in one region of Italy. Now you think that's where most of the cases were, and that's why their healthcare was overwhelmed, because it was a high number of people in a very small region, so all the supporting elements within that couldn't cope. It overwhelmed that part of Italy. Now if they'd taken it across the whole of Italy, then it might have been handled differently. Within the UK, we've basically got it from north to the south. Every part of the UK has been hit more or less the same sort of rate. There are pockets slightly higher than others, but you've got a bigger spread. And then you have to look at take it into account of deaths per millions of people as well, because the population of Italy is not the same as the UK, so the mortality per population ratio is slightly different as well. But the fact that none of that was actually mentioned during this briefing, I think they kind of missed part of the reasons why there was a difference in handling of the Italian cases.
Yeah, well, certainly they were overwhelmed in the north, and there was some horrific stories and stuff going online, wasn't there, of people's experiences. I remember seeing one man and he was filming himself, and his sister had passed away.
Yeah.
But nobody could go and help him, and he didn't know what to do.
She was still on the bed, and he was stuck in the house with her in the house. So yeah, there were a lot of, because they had total lockdown.
Mm.
You know, it got so bad that they had to just go, right, that's it, just doors shut. You know, nobody moves. You know, so there was nothing new. We have still a level of freedom, which they didn't.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
And what is noticeable on the daily stats is that there is a slow rise. The trend of people in motor vehicles is growing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it shows that people are going out and about when they shouldn't be. And that is concerning the government as well.
The thing is, we have been trusted, and we as individuals have the choice. Do we follow these lockdown rules and get out of this quicker, or do we bend the rules to suit ourselves? That's a choice we have to make. We're all adults, well, apart from children listening, if there are any. We're all adults, and that's our choice. It would be nice to think that everybody was making the right choice, wouldn't it? And the right choice, in my opinion, is following the rules.
I mean, they're not difficult. You know, the people say that, we need more clarification, and they're so difficult. The majority of people who are out there, then the rules are quite simple. Stay at home. You know, don't go out unless it's a necessity. Going out 3 times or 4 times or 5 times a day is not a necessity. You know, you can go out once and do all your stuff. You go shopping. You only need to go shopping a couple of times a week. There's no mad queues or rushes in the shops around here. You know, the shops are all well stocked. You know, there's queues. There's queuing systems are in place. There's hand sanitizer and stuff there. There's people monitoring. You know, restricting the number of people going in and out of shops. So the systems are in place. So there's no reason for people to be going out shopping every single day. I think people are doing it because they're bored, and that's the big problem, is boredom. People don't want to be at home all the time. They're looking at a reason to get out, but that's not an excuse. You know, you've been told to stay at home, so stay at home. Find something else to do. Go to different parts of the room, different parts of the house. Spend time in the garden if you've got a garden. You know, utilize the house to its maximum. You know, do something, be creative. I'm just about to talk on to something at the moment on the next bit that you could do. But, you know, at the end of the day, boredom is not an excuse.
It will keep us locked up for longer.
Yeah.
And all these people that are trying to push it to make it end, just not sticking to the rules doesn't mean that they will come to an end quicker. And when we hear words like we've reached our peak, people are still dying, people are still testing positive for COVID-19, people are still becoming poorly, and once they've had it, they've got to live with the results of it. So we might not show any symptoms ourselves, but we could be going out and giving them to other people.
Yeah.
We've said it time and time again.
I mean, I mean, that's the thing about children. They are carriers. You know, they're less likely to get it, but they can still have it and they can still pass it on. You know, so, you know, we all have the possibility of transmission. So, yeah, it's difficult. We're now 4th in the world, and now Russia has now moved up to 5th.
Has it?
They are now right behind us and could potentially overtake the UK. But we do a stadium comparison. So we've actually jumped from we were no, it wasn't in Bradford. It was, I can't remember the last one we said it was. but now we've actually overtaken Bradford, Lord's Cricket Ground in London, Bolton. Oh, sorry, it was Bolton. University of Bolton was the last one at 28,000. We're now over 30,000, so we've overtaken St Andrews in Birmingham, and we're now the next one that would actually take the number of people who have died would be the Bet365 Stadium in Stoke-on-Trent, which has a capacity of 30,183.
Wow.
So.
Well, love and prayers to all the families who have lost loved ones. That's so sad.
It is, yeah. Talking about life in lockdown, I said that I'd mentioned something. One thing that I've been involved with making a video is art journaling, and I've attached the links to the Fenland Chat Hour Facebook group. So if you are interested in learning all about art journaling, and maybe find that as something to do during the lockdown, or even just like a way of documenting, what you've been through, your personal experiences. If you go on there, and then there's a series of tutorial videos explaining what it is and how to go about it.
Yeah, it's amazing. You can make some lovely, beautiful things, and they're good for gifts as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And mementos, keeping things safe.
Yes, it's having memory boxes and stuff like that, great, but having it all together, it brings content to what you've, or context to what the content as well.
Yes, it does. It's brilliant.
Cool. Have you done one?
Yes, and I've been on one or two, or maybe three actually, come to think of it, of Marian's courses. And I went through a period of not feeling very well. I had an operation and I didn't come out of it as emotionally strongly as I would have liked to. And I found the courses to be incredibly therapeutic and really helped me get my way back to normal. They're good. They're good to help you work through things.
So certainly be useful for a lot of people at this time.
Most definitely, yes. Give it a go.
So if you go to the Facebook page, and you'll get more information there. I thought we'd look at the top 10 podcast listeners locations.
That's a good idea.
So something we haven't done for a couple of weeks. So I just it's interesting. Some of the places change. So at 10 we have King's Lynn, which I think was there about before. Ramsey, I think, has dropped a place. Is number 9. Oakham is at number 8, which is interesting to see that we've got shout out to all those in Oakham. March is at 7. I'm a bit disappointed with that. I thought March would be higher, but hey, can't have everything.
No.
War Boys is at number 6, which is great. They're out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
it's always great to have the War Boys, the War Boys posses.
Yes.
At number 5, Newen is San Francisco.
No.
Yep.
Hello, San Francisco.
Hello to all those in San Francisco. 4 stable, strong podcast listeners in St Ives. Shout out to St Ives, and that's the original St Ives, not the poor imitation down in Cornwall. Then we have our friends in Virginia. Shout out to them.
Hello.
They're still there, still listening. Number 2 is Wisbeach.
Hello, Wisbeach.
And we have a new number 1.
Where is that?
Huntingdon.
Hello, Huntingdon.
Hello, Huntingdon. You are number 1. Thank you very much to everyone who is listening. And that's, those are just the podcasts themselves, and that doesn't. We don't have all the figures, but everyone who's watching us on Facebook and YouTube, thank you very much for all the support that you've given us and being involved and taking the time to listen. Whoever you are and wherever you're listening or watching, it's all appreciated, and I hope you do enjoy and it's always just nice to give a shout out to those who are listening.
I have to admit, they're very surprising.
Yes.
Aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, even just looking at number 11 and 12 and 13, we've got Thrapston at 11, Birmingham 12, and Waltham Cross at 13.
That is amazing. Birmingham.
Yeah, and we've
Thrapston.
got. Yeah, I mean, we've got people in Ukraine, people in Portugal who've listened as well. So it is weird. You know, that's just ones that we know of. I've not got the demographics from the YouTubes, but I know there's a few overseas listeners there as well. So it's great to have everyone on board, and it's nice to know that we are being listened to by lots of people, and repeat listeners as well. So we do appreciate the fact that you're actually coming back for a second one.
Yes, thank you.
Supporters, share it. You know, tell other people as well. You know, don't just secretly hoard it yourself. You know, let other people know it's out there if you've enjoyed it. And VE Day, as we mentioned, tomorrow is VE Day.
Yes.
Do you have anything to add to?
Just to say, and you've said it a lot as well, David, that this is something to bring us all together. We are going to be distanced. Let's participate and remember those who gave their lives for us. They were very brave, and we live in freedom today because of them. Yeah,
we do. Yeah, and I think, you know, we've talked about this coronavirus it's almost like World War III. It's almost like the next one, but it's in a different format, and worlds change and battles change, and we just feel, because every country now is fighting this one epidemic, it is almost like a world war. We are fighting something, you know, so we could almost call it that. Well, I think it's justifiable in calling it that, but we are in that kind of that spirit of fighting an enemy and then going through the same process of losses and tragedies and dealing with it. And we have to have some way to celebrate, and hopefully we'll get that opportunity to have some kind of celebration when all this is over as well. So yes, we have V Day to mark those who died during the whole of the war, and to celebrate for the celebrations to the ones that have survived. And I thought it was quite interesting listening to Tom, Captain Tom, or Colonel Tom, sorry, Honorary Colonel Tom now. must remember now, he's been promoted. When he was talking that he'd actually come home from Burma for this particular weekend. So when he was the V Day, he was then celebrating in the loose sense of the words, because he was very aware that all his friends and colleagues were still fighting in Burma, and that carried on for another 6 months. Or so, I can't remember, maybe 6 or 9 months.
It was August, wasn't it?
Could be VJ Day, and that's but certainly it was a long time going. You know, these conflicts didn't just stop.
Yes, well, VJ Day came about through brutally stopping the Japanese, didn't it?
Yeah,
really,
it did.
And you know, that's it. I know. When you see reports of VJ Day, it's recorded as the Forgotten War, isn't it? And
it is. Well, I think it's forgotten by us. I think we were so focused on Europe. I think if you speak to Americans and Japanese and Burma and Malaysia and Japan and China, Korea, they know that as a different story. You know, they haven't forgotten it. It's just that because it wasn't in our main field of operations, we tend to just focus on the European occupation and probably northern Africa as well. because that's where most of our people were serving. But we do kind of forget those who were serving in Singapore and Malaysia and northern Australia and a lot of the islands over there, helping the Americans fight against the Japanese on the Far Eastern Front. So, but yes, there's a lot went on that we don't know about, but it was a brutal end. And it was actually quite interesting listening to a Japanese historian talking about it, and even he was saying, this was the only way it was going to happen. The leaders were just so focused on fighting to the bitter end, to death. No honor in loss. So it was all or nothing, and it had to be. There were a number of things planned. This was just the first one that came, that was ready. This was the first sort of retaliation that was ready first, that was used, and it did have a very dramatic end.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it also saved a lot more people.
Oh yes. Sometimes you have to be cruel to be kind.
Yeah, it is tough. I mean, no one wants to use, weapons like these because of the losses and the casualties, and it's completely indiscriminate. Lots of people lost their lives, but it would have just carried on. The mentality there was to keep fighting and fighting and fighting, and they tried everything else to try and stop it, and it was just going to carry on, and it would have got worse, and would have continued, and it would have been another wave. It would have then just sort of escalated from there across Russia and the rest of Asia as well, and it would have just got even more bloody. And so it's...
Well, David, it's telling that there were 2 bombs dropped.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Really? They should have... it just would have been... One's horrific enough, but...
Yeah, and the fact that they didn't stop on the first one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know people have got different views on whether it should have been done, but like we're saying, it could have led to, if they carried on, it could have been so much worse. So, yeah, it is a time to reflect on families that have, that were lost during the war, and then celebrate the fact that we did bring an end to the European conflict, and that we did spare more lives and help rebuild Europe.
Yes.
So, okay. Do you have any? You've got something about vehicle modifications.
Yes, I have. Thank you. So, Cambridgeshire Constabulary are asking owners of vehicles, if you have modified your vehicle during lockdown, please don't forget to inform your insurance company. Check with your insurance company to check that you're still covered with the modifications. You may not be, and that could cause problems if you get pulled over by the police for any reason at all.
Fair enough.
Yeah, doesn't take long to check.
Okay. Doris, almost forgot Doris. What's Doris doing today?
Thank you. Well, Doris is waiting for drawings to be sent in to us so she can see what people think she looks like.
Yep.
So, but Doris isn't doing the judging, obviously Gail is.
Yeah.
And Judge's decision is final, as you said, David.
It is, yeah.
So, the pictures, drawings, please send them in by the 14th.
Yep.
And 14th of May, a Monday. We've got 3 sections, so it's up to the age of 10, 0 to 10 if you like, 10 to 16, and 16 and over. if you have children submitting a drawing, please send them by messenger to Fenland Chat Hour or DMJ Imagery, or even the Wimbledon Facebook group. We can take them.
Yep.
And it's only me and you that will see them to protect people's identity. If you are an adult, though, and you want to post the pictures directly, that's fine as well, isn't it?
Yeah, if they're over 18, then yeah.
Yes. And also, Doris has been told of lots of initiatives on social media which she thinks are very good. For example, people are being asked to post an album cover or a film advertisement. You've asked me to do one, haven't you, David?
Yes.
Have told me. Yep. Yes. Sometimes it's to do these things for 10 days or for 7 days, and they should be images that had an influence on your life in some way. I've also been challenged to do a 7-day challenge of putting a black and white image up each day for 7 days that tells the story of my life in lockdown. So that's quite interesting. And not altogether easy.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to have to go back through their archives of the photos and find them, and then having to get them onto digital form.
Yes, yeah. Well, what I found is I've taken ordinary photos with my iPhone,
yeah,
and then just changed them into black and white.
Yeah.
That was the easiest way for me to do it. But,
is that cheating?
Yeah, probably. Yes, so Doris likes that idea and encourages it.
That is brilliant. So yeah, but look forward to any of the submissions for Doris.
Yes.
So I want to know what Doris is, because I've never met Doris. So I want to know what she looks like as well.
I've never met her.
Have you not?
No.
Oh. So that'll be a surprise to both of us.
Yes, yes. I know that Doris doesn't actually live in Wimbledon. I should say that.
Yes, that's
but
right.
She does live in the Fens.
But she does live in the Fens, yes.
Yes.
She is a Fen wanderer.
She is a Fen wanderer, yes.
Right. Well, we don't normally like to finish off a show on a sad note, but I think we have to say this, because there's no other way of saying this. But the Fenland Chat Hour is coming to an end. We have decided that because of the possible end of lockdown restrictions and personal work, because obviously we're both getting busier with work now. Things are changing, or people are changing the way that they want stuff. So our businesses are beginning to pick up again. So this was always ever going to be just for the duration of the lockdown, and a way just to keep people, give them something different. And I think we've done that. We've given them something to listen to, but because it's voluntary, this is purely a voluntary service. Bills still need to be paid, and jobs have to come first. We've thoroughly enjoyed this, and we are really disappointed that we've had to come to this decision. But unfortunately, life goes on. We can't do anything about it. So between us, we have decided that next week will be the last week. So we'll have the 2 interviews with the show. We'll have the closing of the art competition next Thursday will be the last one, and we're going to do a bit of a recap. So we're going to use the show just to go back over the last few episodes and to sort of see how projects have developed if we've had any updates on things that we've actually talked about, if anything's come from what we've talked about. So that will be interesting to wind that up. But if you've got any thoughts or any messages that you would like to send us before we go off air, then please do get in touch and leave us some thoughts or some comments on Facebook or message directly, and we'll read some of them out. We thank you for all your support that you've given us, and your involvement. And those listener figures that we were talking about. It's just been great that people have actually taken part and actually and listened to the show on a regular basis, and we were getting pretty much the same sort of responses each episode. So it hasn't. It's been quite level right across the. So there's no been sort of big drops or rises or anything. It's been fairly constant, which has been great. It's great that people have been supportive. So we will have the last show on Thursday. We'll have the show on Monday. We'll have the last show on Thursday. We will then do a short podcast the following week, just to announce the winner of the art competition. And then at the moment we've just been talking provisionally about a post-lockdown podcast, which is what we were originally planning to do at the start. Our original plans were to hold it at St. Peter's Church, and have people come and have guest interviews there, and that's the way it was going to be done. And then everything changed. So to kind of get back to that theme, that feel of what we were originally trying to do, what we'll do is we'll have a last big live post-lockdown live show in a month or so, once everything's sort of come back to normal and people can move around again. Maybe get a couple of the guests that we've had on during sort of those who we've interviewed and get them back and do one last bit and just talk to them about their experiences during the lockdown as well.
That would be great.
So that's the plan. So we're not hearing the last of it, but sort of that's just the way that our exit strategy is. We're running that.
And it's been great doing this, hasn't it, David? It's taken a lot of time, and there's been huge learning curves along the way.
It has been.
It's been really good, and it's been fun working together. I've enjoyed it. I
have as well. It's been quite cathartic for me as well. I've enjoyed it. I think at the very beginning, when there was no hope, and everything had come to a stop, and all the jobs had stopped, and the world had stopped, and and it was something just to keep going and something else to focus on, and that's done its job, and now we're kind of moving forward again.
Yes, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, I've enjoyed working with you, and it's been an interesting journey, because it's gone completely different to what we were planning to do in the first place. So.
It has, hasn't it? It has. But when we were first talking about doing it, and we were thinking of working from St. Peter's in Wimbledon, we were really supported, weren't we?
Yeah.
And by the congregation members and by the clergy. It was lovely.
Well, I think that was it, because we had such a positive response to it at the start, which is why we then decided to carry on. So it would be nice to actually go to the church and talk to the church members and get them involved as well. Just thank them for the support that they were going to give us at the very beginning and throughout. Yeah,
absolutely. Look forward to being able to do that.
Yes, that'll be a good show. I think it'll be a more positive show to finish off on as well.
It will. Yes, that's true.
But yeah, we've learnt a lot. I mean, there's a lot of techniques and specifics, podcast specifics, that we've had to learn to actually get the show on online and stuff. So it's been a very useful learning tool, and something that we can take forward and use and help other people as well. If anyone else is out there looking at doing some kind of podcasting or some kind of show, then certainly we can help give advice, and because it never goes smoothly. There's always something going wrong. There's always something that fails.
Yeah, but we do persist and we do overcome.
We do, yes.
I don't know. And we haven't. Neither of us have had a nervous breakdown, have we?
No. I think we did almost, but that was. There was one particular episode that was just an absolute nightmare. It just nothing seemed to work, and the internet just didn't work, and everything else. Yeah, I mean the idea of hopefully getting a podcast done and recorded and out by 3:00 in the afternoon was a bit ambitious, and even then we were doing 3 shows a week, and that was too much as well. So yeah, I mean, just as an example, I mean, I worked out that for each 1 hour show, it takes me about 1.5 days of time to actually go through it.
Yeah, that's massive.
But not all of it's working. Some of it's just uploading times, and transfer times and stuff. So it's the physical time it takes to actually do it all.
And research.
Yeah, and all the research, the reading, going through all the news articles, the websites and stuff, and just trying to find things that might be of interest. I think we've actually pretty much got one story each episode that has been subsequently followed in the main news each episode. So
that's amazing, isn't it?
So you watch tonight or tomorrow, and the tracker news will be the big thing, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
So we hope you enjoyed everything, and we hope you've got something from it. So yeah, you've got the opportunity just to let us know your thoughts and feelings of how the show's gone for next week. Well, I think that's about it from me. Have you got anything?
Yes, I'm from me. No.
I just have one last drink. So I'm losing my voice here.
No, I feel a bit like that today.
Yeah.
Might be something
in the air.
Hay fevery.
Yeah, it could be. So yeah, enjoy VE Day. Enjoy it the best way you can, isolating. Make the most of the good weather, because I believe it's going to turn a bit cold again next week. Enjoy the bank holiday, and thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you.
Stay safe, look after yourself, look after each other, help everyone else safely, and we will see you on Monday. So we'll say goodbye from me.
Bye-bye from David.
Goodbye.